Hey guys, it's Julia, designer at the Quilted Cow, and today's tutorial is on the Helpful Heifer Laura's Little Notebook cover. Before we begin, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Husqvarna Viking Sewing Machines, Creative Grids Rulers, Mats and Rotary Cutters, and Wilmington Prints. Let's begin! So this is one of my favorite kits to make. It's absolutely fun and it goes together super quick. This does make a set of 4, and you can find this kit and pattern on our website at thequiltedcow.com or on our Facebook Lives on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Let's begin with the first step. Very first step that we need to do is we're going to make the tab that holds our notebook cover closed. So you're going to take your little piece of fabric and we're going to take the long edge and fold it under. Now I'm going to use my hot ruler. If you guys don't have one, I highly recommend it. I use it all the time. So what we're going to do is we're going to just fold our fabric over until it reaches the 1/4 inch mark. And then we'll just use our iron right on top of this ruler. This is going to make it so we have a nice finish edge on our tab. Absolutely must. So once you have your folded edge, we're going to take our fabric and fold it in half right to left, so we can crease our center seam for our tab. Once that is all nice and pressed, we're going to open it back up and we're going to take our raw edges and fold them to the center crease we just made. And then fold it back in half again and give it a press. Now that your tab fabric is completely ready, what we're going to do next is step to our sewing machine and we're going to sew around all 3 of these finish edges. We can leave this raw edge open. It's going to be tucked inside our notebook. Now that we have our finished seams on the 3 edges of our tabs, you're going to repeat this for your other 3 notebook covers and then set these aside. The next pieces you're going to need are your main and your lining for your sleeve pieces. Now you can do all of these at the same time if you would like, but what we're going to do is we're going to place our main fabric and our lining fabric right sides together, and we're going to stitch down 1 long seam. Now if you have a directional print, what we're going to do is sew on one side or sew on the right side, and then we're going to sew on the left side for the other edge of your notebook. That way your directional print's the right way. We're just going to line these up and then step to our machine and sew our edges. Once you have your seam done on your sleeve piece, we are going to push our fabrics. We're going to push our lining fabric away and press it so we get a nice and smooth crease right there on our seam. Once that's pressed up, we're just going to continue folding it so that our crease is right there at the edge. And we're going to press it once again. So now we have a nice smooth edge on our sleeve piece. So then we're going to step to our sewing machine and we're just going to top stitch just to hold this crease in place. Now you have sleeve pieces that are completely ready to put in your notebook. It's just time for assembly. Now you can make your Laura's Little Notebook covers one of 2 ways. So you can make them so they all are the exact same and matching, like mine here are, or you can make it so one of them or multiple of them are all different. So then you can just put your lining fabric so it's the right side out. And it would look something like this. So I'm going to show you how to make it. So you want to put your lining piece, whichever fabric you choose, is going to go at the bottom. And then you're going to take your sleeve pieces and put the opposite fabric facing up. Make sure that your top stitches are facing towards the center of your fabric. That way you'll have a nice finish edge inside your notebook. The next step is you want to take your little tab fabric that we made in the first step and place it in the center. Now you can measure and get it in exactly the right spot, but you can just eyeball it just as easily. So we're just going to put our little tab fabric right there on the right hand side. The final step is to just lay your main fabric or your outside fabric over, and we're gonna pin or clip these and hold them in place. Now we're gonna step to our machine and sew. When we do, we're gonna leave an opening either on the top or the bottom, right here between the sleeve pieces. So that way we can turn it right side out. Once you have your seam done, we're going to clip our corners. Now you can use little snips or scissors. You can also just use your rotary cutter. This is my favorite one. I'm going to use my little Creative Grids ruler or my little Creative Grids rotary cutter just to trim off the corners on all 4 of my sides. This will make it so whenever you go to turn your project right side out, it lays nice and smooth and you get nice sharp corners. So then we're just going to reach into our turn opening and turn our fabric right side out. Now whichever fabric was on the bottom that you're going to use as your lining, make sure you keep your pockets right there with that fabric whenever you're turning. It'll just save you time in the end. Once you have your project turned right side out, we're going to press it so it's nice and flat, and then we'll get our turn opening all nice and smooth and even so we can get it sewn. So what we need to do next is to just push in our bottom where we turned our project right side out. Now I always find it easiest just to put my fingers in it and pull so it's taut, and then you have a nice starting point. Just how your seam should lay on the inside. Now we're going to press that to make sure it's nice and smooth. After everything is nice and pressed, what we're going to do next is step to our machine, and we're going to do a top stitch all the way around our entire project. And we're just going to go right over the tab here, skipping the end of the tab. So once you have all of your top stitching done, the final step is to place your finger snap. So your finger snaps will come in a cute little bag like this, and each piece matches together. So you should have 2 caps, a female part, and a male part for your snaps. I think about these as earrings and backs, so that way you always make sure you have a complete set. So what we're going to do is just place our stud or our male snap right here on our tab fabric. So to do that, I'm just going to use an erasable pin. I'm going to use this nice heat erasable pin, and I'm just going to put a dot in the center, and that's where I need to poke my hole. There are many different ways that you can poke a hole. I always just use my seam ripper because it's always handy. So I'm just going to push my point right into where I put my mark, and then I'm just going to cut a hole. Now you just want to push a little bit of pressure. You don't need a great big hole, just enough to fit the end of your cap in. Now the button or the cap part is going to go on the outside or the back of our tab, and we're just going to move our fabric right around that hole. Once you have that done, you'll take the stud, the part that's poking up, the male side, and we'll just finger press until you hear a nice little click. Now once you have this part on your tab, we're going to close our notebook cover and find out where your tab hits. Now if you have a big thick notebook, you're going to want to leave a little room for it to close, so that way it'll be nice and full whenever it's shut. I have a really tiny little notebook, so I just need to put just a little wiggle room in there. And I'm just going to mark right where the snap hits with another little dot. Now to put the female snap in, it's going to hit right inside this pocket, so just put your fingers in there, so you have it nice and available and you're not pushing it through your sleeve. So once again, just put your seam ripper, your hole punch, whatever you're using, and just make a nice little hole for your finger snap. We're going to thread this inside of our pocket so that way our pocket's not sealed shut. And then we're going to paste the female part right here, and once again just finger press it together until you hear it snap. So once you have your snaps complete, The only thing left to do is to put your cute little notebook inside. So we're just going to thread it underneath the sleeves on both sides. And now you're ready to go. Push your snap shut, and that's how you make the Helpful Heifer Laura's Little Notebook cover. Once again, you can find this pattern and kit on our website at thequiltedcow.com or on our Facebook Lives on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Please like and subscribe for more tutorials, and thanks for watching.
Okay, you wicked cool quilters, good job. You made it to the end. We would like to thank our sponsors, Husqvarna Viking Sewing Machines, Creative Grids, rulers, rotary cutters, and mats, and Wilmington Prints for the beautiful fabrics. Thanks for watching.